Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Career A Day segment. We're highlighting some jobs that are in high demand and telling you how you can land one of them. With me now is Sergeant Tim Coffman with SAPD. Thank you so much for being here today.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Of course. So we are talking all about becoming a police officer. First of all, can you kind of describe, I guess, the process of becoming a police officer? Because there are several steps you have to take.
Yeah, really a lot of people think it starts with the application process and starting with that, but it actually starts in high school or college. Getting a background in social studies, in government, having a working knowledge of the Constitution, becoming fairly good at mathematics, because yes, we're police officers, but mathematics does come into play, so you do have to have a background in that, and that all starts in the high school or college level. But the actual hiring process for the police department all starts with the application. You can get an application from the Human Resource Office for the City of San Angelo, or from our website, or by contacting my office, and we can send one to you. Once that application is completed and filled out, and we have the required documents such as high school transcripts, college transcripts, copy of college and high school diplomas, military discharge paperwork if you're in the military, all that kind of documentation. Then the next step is the civil service exam. And that's where that high school education comes into play, because the civil service exam has nothing to do with law enforcement. It is basically a high school equivalency test that covers reading comprehension, spelling, punctuation, writing complete sentences, and mathematics, to include algebra.
Okay.
You have to score 70 or better on that exam to pass the written test. The next step in the hiring process is the physical agility test. And in the past, when we say physical agility, a lot of people think, oh, I got to go do push-ups and sit-ups and run a certain distance and all these kind of physical activities. We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
What we do now is we do a rowing test, which is done on the Concept 2 rowing machine. You have to row for a distance of 2,000 meters at a resistance setting of 5. And the time that you have to complete that test is based on your age, gender, and weight.
Okay.
With the average time for males being somewhere around 10 minutes and 30 seconds to complete that 2,000 meter row. If you complete it within the time limit, then you've passed that portion of the test, and then things really start to ramp up. If you pass the written test, you pass the physical agility, the next thing we do is issue you what we call a personal history statement, which is a document where you fill in all your background information for us to conduct your background investigation off of. You have a week to complete that document and get it turned into us. And there's a lot of information in there, so it's best to start trying to get some information such as where you've lived before, your past employers, current employers, all those kinds of things. You want to get that information together so you have it ready, because a week sounds like a lot, but for the amount of information we ask for, it's really not that long. Once you've completed that, turned it back in, then the next step is the background investigation, and we turn your personal history statement along with other checks that we do over to a background investigator. And that background investigator has anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to complete their background investigation. And that background investigation is very thorough. We talk to neighbors, we talk to previous employers, we talk to teachers, principals, counselors from high schools and colleges. So we do a very thorough background, not to mention talking to friends and family, spouses, all those people. Once that background investigation is complete and you've passed that, then the next step is the polygraph exam, and we schedule that. That takes anywhere from 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
If everything goes well. Sometimes it can take longer. Depending on the results of the test and if we have to do another test. Once you pass the polygraph, Then the next step is the interview board. The interview board is a very stressful situation, especially if you're not familiar or have never dealt with an interview board. It consists of 7 members, voting members, 2 of them being the assistant chiefs of police, a lieutenant, a sergeant, 2 senior officers, and the civil service director. And they ask 2 sets of questions. One set of questions is standard questions that they ask to every applicant. And then the second set of questions is based off your individual background investigation if they want more information or a better explanation as to something that's in there. After the interview, you step out of the room, they talk about it, make their decision, then they inform me, and either myself or one of the assistant chiefs will come out and let the applicant know the decision of the board.
Okay.
If you pass the board, then we start doing some paperwork. We issue you a conditional offer of employment, which basically states that you have to pass all your physical exams, your psychological exam, and you have to pass the academy. And if you've done all that, then we will provide you with a position as a police officer. From start to finish, the hiring process takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
And then the academy would start after that. Once all the physical exams and psychological exams are done, the academy starts. And that academy runs now anywhere from 6 to 7 months in duration. However, while you're attending the academy, you're an employee of the San Angelo Police Department, so we pay you.
Right.
Once those 16 or the 6-month academy is over with, you graduate, you take a state licensing exam to become a licensed peace officer. All police officers in the state of Texas are licensed by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. And then you go into a 16-week field training program where you're actually riding with a senior officer and they're evaluating you and you're actually doing the job. Once those 16 weeks are up, and you've passed your field training, then you're assigned to a shift and assigned days off, and you're out on the street by yourself.
So a very, very thorough vetting process, application process. So it's better to go ahead and get started as soon as possible.
Yeah,
right?
And the main thing during the hiring process that not a lot of people understand, and some people try to cut corners, is we want you to be honest. We know that everybody makes mistakes. Even us as police officers, we make mistakes. We're human beings. It's what you've done since you made that mistake. Are you making the same mistake over and over and over again? If so, then there might be a problem. Did you learn from the mistake you made and you haven't done it since? Then that's probably the person we want as a police officer. Because we have a lot of responsibilities in hiring law enforcement officers. We're giving this person that we're looking at hiring the potential for taking somebody's civil rights away from them by placing them under arrest and putting a badge of authority and a firearm on their hip. So it's a lot of responsibility to put on somebody.
Definitely. So hence the thorough vetting process and application process and
Correct.
academy and everything. So let's go over 2 things really quickly. What kind of education do we need to have? Do we have to have a high school diploma?
Yeah, if that's where the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement sets their requirements, and we go by those. If you're over the age of 21 and you're a high school graduate, then no college or military service is needed. A high school education is fine.
Okay.
If you have a GED, you're required to have at least 12 hours of college credit. And that's because the police academy is written, the curriculum is written at a college level.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that you can handle that level of education. If you're under the age of 21, now a lot of people know that you can be hired as a police officer starting at the age of 18.
Okay.
But if you're under the age of 21, there are some additional requirements. You either have to have 60 hours of college credit, which is basically an associate's degree,
Okay.
or 2 years of military service. And if you have military service, it has to be characterized as honorable service. So if you have a general discharge under honorable conditions, you can be licensed. If you have an honorable discharge, you can be licensed as a peace officer. Any other type of discharge other than a medical discharge, the state will not license you as a peace officer.
Right. Okay. Great information there. So if you are in that age bracket, definitely check that out. So as far as the pay, what is the salary like for these positions?
Starting pay is around $43,000 a year starting out. Now that's based on a year.
But you are getting paid while you're going through the academy.
You're getting paid while you're going through the academy.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay.
But it starts out at around $43,600 a year. And again, that's for a year. You're only in that recruit pay grade for the 6 months that you're in the academy. Once you graduate the academy, you take the state licensing exam, and you get sworn in as a probationary officer. Then you move up to the rank of probationary officer, and your pay increases, I believe, to around $47,000 a year. You're on probation for 16 months, and then at the termination of that probationary period, you get moved up again to police officer 1, and your pay also increases.
Okay, so pretty steady increase there. And the higher rank, obviously, the more the pay.
Yeah.
So if anybody is watching this right now and they say, okay, I want to do this, I want to find out more information, how do they get a hold of you?
They can contact me at my office at 481-2709, area code 325, obviously, or by email at tim.coffman, COFFMAN, at sanangelopolice.org. And one other thing that I want to add is for those high school students that they're not sure if law enforcement is a career they want to get into or not, or they don't have 60 hours of college credit, or they don't have 2 years of military service. Obviously, a senior in high school is not going to have 2 years of military service. We do have a program where we bring students in, young adults, and start training them to become police officers, see if that's what they really want to do. And that's called our Law Enforcement Explorer program. And they can contact me at my office or by my email. I'm the coordinator for that program, in addition to doing all the recruiting for our officers, and I can explain that Explorer program much more in depth.
Perfect. Yeah, so a great way to kind of test the water, see if this is what you want to do.
Correct.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And of course, you can always find out more information on the Concho Valley Workforce Solutions website and our website,